Hello guys, Amandu here and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Managing Mischief.
Expecto! Patronum!
Today I decided not to record myself for the intro because I've been really tired, really tired. I don't know why. I had a bit of a spike on my depression and my anxiety, mostly because people around me have been in difficult situations. I had a friend in the hospital a few days ago and I've been a bit nervous and anxious, but I was feeling very self-aware and decided that it wasn't the time for me to put myself out there like that because I knew eventually I was not going to be satisfied and I was going to be forced to redo the video just to take out that part that I was not happy with, or even if I was happy with the rest of the video, which I am, I would not be comfortable with that part and that will ruin the entire experience for me. So yeah, anxiety is a lot of fun, right? Going back to Harry Potter, oh, I'm so excited. So one of the stores I've always wanted to go into from the books, from the movies, and definitely from the park is Honeydukes. The Honeydukes looks amazing, you guys. Like, I want to eat absolutely everything they have there, as long as it's not spicy, because I may be Mexican, but I cannot handle my spices. So it might not be a surprise that my two favorite Harry Potter books are The Prisoner of Azkaban and The Goblet of Fire. The first one because it's that point where things are not dark enough, but you are also starting to see what like channel the books are going into. Like, it's getting darker, it's getting more complicated. Things that you thought weren't important in the past few books, suddenly you realize they kinda are. And it's the first time they go to Hogsmeade, and I really like Hogsmeade because other than Diagon Alley, it's the first time Harry experiences like an actual wizarding community. Like, not wizards that live like in between muggles and hiding, kind of like Diagon Alley, but like an actual safe wizarding community, and I find that very interesting, even if Harry doesn't really get to experience it that much until later. And then the fourth book, The Goblet of Fire, I absolutely love The Goblet of Fire. When I was younger, I remember I got my copy and I read it so many times that it actually started losing pages, and eventually it lost like a huge chunk of pages. Then it kind of broke in half and I had to buy a new one because I think I read that book about 14 times, just like the year it came out. And like over the years, I've read it less and less, but it's still my favorite Harry Potter book. And it's definitely darker. The consequences are really starting to take shape, and by the end of the book, you know stuff is going down. You know Harry is not even close to facing the real challenges of his life. Like, you think fighting a dragon and almost drowning in the creepy lake of Hogwarts is going to be bad? Well, yeah, no, you have to wait. So if you have never read the Harry Potter series, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but you should really read it because it's amazing. Anyway, Honeydukes. So I really like in the movie, you may not know this, but you probably do. So the Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban movie was directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who is a Mexican director, and he really took the series in a different direction. There are many things I think he failed at doing, especially when it came into condensing the book. But there are many things he does right, and many things that I do appreciate. Giving these characters a bit more depth, taking them out of school clothes into like more young people clothes, which made them more relatable. Last episode, I remember I said that I'm sad that people like stopped wearing their hats and stuff. And a lot of that comes from Alfonso's like view on the magical world, but it also made the characters way more relatable in the movies, because otherwise they felt kind of alien, because you're not a wizarding kid that's wearing a robe and a hat all the time. But then in the movies you just see normal kids that happen to have magic, and it's like, okay, I can work with this. And the Honeydukes he created was a very simple concept. It's actually not featured a lot in the movie. he gives these little hints there and there. He has like these sugar skulls and these little contraptions that kind of move and have candy in them. I was always so obsessed with the concept of Honeydukes because I've always been obsessed with the concept of magical candy. Like, I already love candy. I know it's magical enough as it is, but now imagine candy that like can make your, I don't know, like your eye color change or something. So in my composition I included some of the candy that I always wanted to try. Now you will notice a lack of chocolate frogs, like she's holding a chocolate frog, but I never really liked chocolate frogs because one, I don't like frogs, and two, I think it's really creepy to eat something that is alive, even if it's a chocolate frog. I think that's really creepy. So I decided to, so in my composition I added all these sweets that I always wanted to try, or that I tried but I wish I could try the actual magical version. Like when the first movie came out, I remember my aunt and uncle lived in San Francisco in California, so I went there for my vacation. And I remember they got me like all this candy that was like promotional candy that was coming out at the same time as the movie. So I remember I had this lollipop that was shaped as one of the keys from like the scene where Harry has to fly and get a key that has wings. And they had Birdie Bot beans, which were really just jelly beans, and sometimes they had nasty flavors like peppermint. I remembered my favorite flavor was grass, because it kind of tasted like green apple. I don't know. When I was a child, I ate grass, because we all do. And it would be so amazing to actually get a bean that tastes like grass, because I know what grass tastes like, you know? So that's something I included. There are a lot of little beans floating around. So I added some lollipops, you know, some regular candy. I put a lot of sprinkles around her. I added 2 of those sugar quills because I love the idea that you can write with something that you can eat in class. I don't know. I personally like that. I remember this scene in the movies where they are like eating, I don't know what they are eating, just like some kind of candy that makes them, like they are eating some kind of candy that actually changes like their voice into animal sounds. That was so incredibly funny and so incredibly creative. I wish I could eat that. You know, that's the kind of thing I really want to eat. Now let's stop talking about Honeydukes and let's talk a bit more about the piece. I'm talking a lot in this episode. I'm kind of feeling comfortable, so please bear with me. So for this piece, I chose a girl that looks kind of a little more sexy than my Quidditch girl did. I kind of went back to the pinup origins of this series. I tried to only use colors that reminded me of the color scheme of Honeydukes, which is like this very bright green and very bright pink. I'm not a big fan of very bright colors unless it works like it does in that store, but I wasn't entirely sure if I could make it work, so I kind of toned them down into a more pastelish look. I figured that if you live in the magical world, like hair color shouldn't be a problem. So I kind of gave her these tainted tips for her hair, and she has a Harley Quinn vibe going on, which I don't know how I feel about. I don't hate it, like I'm not mad about it. She has a darker skin tone than the last girl. I like to think that this girl is maybe Latina. I don't really see a lot of Latino characters, in fact any Latino characters in Harry Potter, so I think that would be a nice change. I figure if I had to tell a story about her, I think she would be some kind of demonstrator. Like she's wearing like colorful clothes and colorful hair to bring people into maybe the release of a new candy, I don't know. And she's sitting on this giant bean that I thought would be so fun to color. And you can actually see part of the struggle I had with that bean, because first I wanted to make it gold, but it didn't really work. Then I said, well, maybe I can make it green, and it was worse. And at that moment I stopped recording because I was so sure I had ruined everything. Like, I just knew I had ruined everything, so I had to start over. I was so mad. So I kept working on the bean because I was just so satisfied with the rest of the work. I didn't want to do it again because I was happy with it. I really thought, you know what, I can fix this. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I can fix this. And I kept working on it, and I keep adding, I used some wash, I used other watercolors, and when tried to go for this kind of like galaxy bean, so like a taste of infinite, I don't know. In the end, after it dried, like an hour after I decided to stop working on it because I was so upset about ruining it, like it dried and the colors kind of toned down, and I was so happy with it. Like it looked amazing. So I added some stars, I added shadows, and in the end, I was happy with it. Is it perfect? No. I'm happy I didn't record how I got there because I was so frustrated and so upset. But I got there eventually, and I'm really proud that I could fix it and that I can be satisfied with the work I did, even though I made a mistake that could have been potentially game-stopping for me. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Next week, if you like my series, please leave a comment down below, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Stay creative, guys. Bye bye.